All right, so since this is a streetwear podcast, and we talk about probably every streetwear brand known to mankind, have you heard of by Kody Phillips?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so I'm gonna put you on for a few reasons. One, dope garments, dope drop, but looking at everybody and what they kind of did for Black Friday, everybody kind of did, they did their respective discounts.
I thought you were going to say, I'm going to put you on because you need some new swag.
I mean, after K not, giving you any kind of compliments, it might be that time.
I just want you to know, I was bracing for impact that whole time.
There was none.
I thought I was about to just get a haymaker.
We were just talking about canning intros and all that shit. Like, I feel like that included, like, shit talking in the first few minutes. We'll leave it for, minute 5, minute 6.
When Stick around minute 37. I got something for
like, that's where it gets, it's where the true fans get to get all the comedy and shit talking. Mm-hmm. But, so what I noticed during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and I'm sure you have your thoughts here, is, all of the brands that we like, they did a lot of good, just typical discounts, 25 to up to 50% off. I thought it was cool that some brands were doing exclusive drops for Black Friday.
Yeah.
This guy, by Kody Phillips and his brand, they dropped a specific collection for Black Friday, right? But I actually like how they promoted it. So this is what I want to get into. I'll send you the page, or do you have it pulled up?
I got it pulled up, yeah.
Cool. So this is something that I think we're going to start seeing more and more of, which is creating skits that are social first and launching campaigns that are specifically made for social, shot in vertical, and then there's like scaled versions of that campaign. I think the best example of that right now at a very scaled version is Adidas with the AE1 campaign. Like, there are no horizontal versions of that campaign. None of it was shot for TV. None of it is getting televised. Nothing's getting put on streaming platforms, right? It's all made for social and naturally going viral because of how the stories are created for like these 15 to 30 second moments.
Real quick on that one, it's interesting how that's going to change so many dynamics around cost, preparation, and skill set towards campaigns. Yeah. Because it used to be, okay, we're going to come up with 1 2-minute spot, and that's going to be what everyone works on. That's going to be the entire team's focus. Now, the skill is how can we repackage one broader campaign into 12 different assets? Yeah. There's 3 teasers with a really, compelling image. There's 2 storyline skits with Ant. And then there's like 4 product shots. Like, how do you break out one singular campaign into 12 concepts? I feel 100%. Like that is going to be such a focus on the P&L for so many of these big brands in 2025.
And that's what they did. So if you look at, one of their first posts that went live on November 15th, they teased the campaign or their collection for Black Friday. And again, what I like here is it's like this continuation of skits. So the first skit was, again, like the tease of the entire collection. But then as you scroll through it and they release more and more content, it was all like a progression of that original teaser. But the thing that I love was their lookbook and the way that they did their lookbook and the carousel that they made. They got 104,000 likes. Yeah. I mean, chances are that's 3 to 5 million impressions, if not more, on this lookbook, which, if I had to guess, probably sold out the entire collection. And this is also a good example of when everybody's zigging, like Zag. Everybody's lookbooks and everybody's kind of product shots are typically the same. They lay it out on the floor. They take the above shot. These lookbooks and this carousel was all based off the skits, which is what I liked. They took, this skit that they created where they're getting arrested, they're getting killed. There's all these different aspects playing into it. And then they created the lookbook on the back end, this carousel on the back end of that, where, again, they're showcasing the entire product, but it's all taken from these skits, which I thought was awesome. And this goes back to like this cohesive storytelling that you and I talk about, where if you're launching a campaign, post 1, post 2, post 3, post 4, and ongoing, they all have to play off of each other. And they almost have to like continue building up that momentum and that idea and narrative in somebody's head.
It's world building.
It is world building.
It's world building, and they're creating a reason to pay attention. And once your attention is earned, then you look at the close. But it's not selling first
at all.
It's just, I mean, this 100,000 on a lookbook is
crazy.
Insane. That's
crazy.
I mean, this is. It's so unique too. It's eye-catching because you haven't seen this done before. Mm-mm. And it's funny how the evolution of a lookbook has gone from just a flat lay to a styled shoot to a themed shoot, now to a skit-themed shoot that also, to your point, is with an integrated set of videos that are telling a story.
100%. And And so I like this progression that they're doing where they tease it and then they have this lookbook that's part of it. And then the skit continues to progress as they roll out more of the content. And you see it here. People are commenting, not going to lie, this rollout has been one of the coolest I've ever seen. This art direction is so gas. Like all of these things, because when we talk about how do you get somebody to engage with your content over and over again, it's like they want to anticipate the next post.
Right.
This makes you anticipate the next post, which is key, especially when we're talking about a product launch. And, you know, they continue to even their product imagery, even they have another carousel where it's like essentially like one-shot skits, which I think is underrated.
Extremely underrated.
So underrated.
The bite-sized skit, like you really only need 5 to 7 seconds now.
Yeah.
So here's another thing that's really fascinating about this, and you see this a lot with drop brands, is these guys don't have a ton of traffic. They're really not a big website. They're only getting around 5,000 visits a month.
Wow.
And so when you're talking about what is the home run swing here, to get 100,000 likes, to your point, that's probably 3 million impressions on your new drop. For a brand that's only getting maybe 5 to 10,000 site visits a month, if you're getting 5 to 10 site, you're under a $5 million brand.
Yeah.
You're not very big and you're very drop heavy. Like, to be able to sell out and create that much demand and aura around a collection just based on your content marketing is insane.
Now, here's the next layer that I think is super interesting for a brand like this. And even going back to what you're saying, I think he was running ads, but again, like when we're thinking about how much he's probably spending on ads, it's not high. So what is the next move? What is the next best move that you can be doing? He worked with a theme page called Outlander Magazine. Have you seen them?
I think I have, yeah.
I'm sure you have. I'm sure you probably follow them. But check them out. So they have 341,000 followers, always first at keeping you tapped into fashion. They created a carousel about the drop. That carousel also went viral, right? And so I think there's this flywheel of, okay, I'm going to start with organic content. I'm going to launch my campaigns. I'm going to create these social first campaigns. And then I'm going to find all the curation pages or theme pages that curate based on the category that I'm in. And I'm going to either create this affiliate model with them where, hey, you could gamify it based on views. With him where it's like limited and it's a drop, you'd probably pay based on impressions, but you can get into this flywheel that you're creating where all of your top performing content that you create on the organic side is then given to theme pages, and the theme pages could recreate their own versions of that top content. We're working with 4Ocean, and one of the things that we're doing is like they've had a lot of success in the past with working with theme pages. What we're doing to help make that more efficient for both 4Ocean and the theme pages is we're giving them a best practice folder. Best practice folder, or like a fast success folder, basically, it's what we're calling it internally, where we're giving them, hey, these are the best visual hooks that have worked in the past. These are the best verbal hooks. These are the best audio hooks, everything. So we're giving them the recipe for success and just being like, hey, now you take this. These are the winning stories that we've used.
Is that agnostic to just 4Ocean?
Is that what?
Like, is that have swipe file content of other brands, visual hooks that have worked, or just their top
Just their
performers?
content. Yeah. That's for their content.
Yeah.
Because 4Ocean, they have 3.5 million followers on IG. Like they're fairly large, and they've had a lot of winners.
For sure. And
they have a lot of content that, like for example, they have some content that has 50, 60 million views, but they have no product integration into those videos. And so like I'd rather get 10 million views, but it has product integration than 60 million views and no product integration.
Well, it's bracelets, right? I mean,
yeah,
you don't gotta flash that thing, like, you know.
It's not what I'm wearing. It's actually crazy story. You've been to where I live. Like, you know, I live in a safe suburban neighborhood.
Trap house.
Yeah. And dude, I ordered 4Ocean bracelets the day they arrived. Our postman,
he swiped them.
No, he got robbed. He got swiped.
Wow.
They swiped him from the master key, and they swiped all of the boxes, or like all of the, because there's a place that I have to drive to be able to get up. Yeah. They swiped
like I said,
everything.
Trap house.
Yeah, it's
got that community
crazy.
mailbox, bro.
There's literally, I see a cop every, I don't know, 2 months in like where I live. So for that to happen, I mean, it's absolutely
so that's
crazy.
just like, that's just a fact of life living in the city. It's like you lose like 1.5 packages every month just to riffraff.
That's the first time anything like that's ever happened. But
damn, I mean, the marketer in you, I don't know how you haven't already pitched that as the campaign idea. What? These things are so hot they're getting swiped. Yeah, we
create a little skit around it.
created a collector's item. We can't even send these safely. Put it in the bricks truck.
But the idea there is to start recreating some of those winners, but with these theme pages and kind of giving them the recipe for success. Because then if we do have the affiliates section built out on the back end, like it's going to be lucrative for both sides.
Yeah, it's a modern day PR. So every one of the Outlander is an aggregator. Mm-hmm. They are desperate for content. They don't win unless they can post a couple of times a day. Yep. And so their team is desperate for things to talk about. So when you can engage with aggregators and give them something to actually cover, it's a huge multiplier effect, because ultimately your content just needs to be shared in multiple different places. So if your content's getting shared from your brand account, which I haven't had a chance to look at do they give shares on carousels publicly? I know they show sends on.
I don't think publicly.
Because I guarantee that thing got sent to probably 20, 30, probably 2-3x of the 100,000 likes. That's got to be why it went so viral.
Let me see. I know it's different.
But it's the same thing with Outlander. If you're thinking about I follow Bleacher Report. I follow all these sports aggregators who are desperate for content, and they live and die by the shares as well. It's me seeing highlights and sending it to my 3 group chats. That's the K factor of how many times an individual shares a piece of content. Same thing for any of your fashion brands. It's like, if you work with these guys, I mean, Complex is obviously a really big example, but they need content. Yeah. High snobiety, like they need stuff to cover. So by engaging with them in advance, it's a good way to get some more press.
So what's the playbook here? What's the playbook if you have no paid spend and you want to be able to create this organic content flywheel? So the first thing is, one, you have to think through the lens of social first. What am I creating that progresses over time, very similar to by Kody Phillips, where we have something that we are launching, and how am I teasing skits throughout the entire time period? But then 2 is, how do I then create multiple pieces of content that stem from that? If I am creating the skits for IG Reels, how am I then creating on the back end carousels that match that, right? You have to keep that narrative the same. It's very similar to, or it is world building. And then I want to take it another step further, where on email, SMS, landing pages, your product pages, all of that has to be an extension of that. How does that story continue to live on but get scaled across all of these other touch points? Once you find the successful pieces of content there, now work with these theme pages. Get in contact with the theme pages, the curation pages, all of these aggregators, and start working with them, but set them up with the affiliate links. Set them up with a gamified process of either you're paying on views or impressions, or on sales, depending on your inventory. Mm-hmm. That is a very successful flywheel. And then when you get to a point where now you can start running ads through those theme pages, that's where then it gets very lucrative. Like, I get hit with a ton of GQ ads, but for Ame, and I'm sure you get the same thing. Yeah. And that is then where it also starts to get very, very lucrative. So it's a very simple playbook, and it's one that's easy to follow for any brand. Whether you're a large brand, you could really do this at scale, or even a small brand. Mm-hmm. You could work with 1 or 2 theme pages and really make a difference for your company.
Absolutely. It's the most powerful method. I mean, you have to be able to take advantage of any post's ability to go viral these days. That's the number one skill set of any marketer that you're looking to hire, is how much do they understand the algorithm? Because when we're auditing all these brands' accounts, it's so clear that they're not creating stuff given the parameters that Meta wants you to create within. All Meta cares about is shares. We've talked about that a million times on this. Like, if you have a 1-to-1 likes to shares on your post, it's going to go viral. Yep. That's what they care about. Even bonus points if it goes more. And then watch time. How are you going to keep someone's attention till the end? Yeah. We talked about short, 5 to 7 second skits. Like, that's going to get almost 100% watch time if it's a super compelling visual, which this one was this guy like at a crime scene, like hitting a bat, but it's for a clothing brand. You're definitely just seeing that and being like, okay, what is this all about? So any marketing team needs to kind of understand, like, what are those actual metrics that Instagram is caring about? It's watch 100%. Time and shares. And if the stuff that you're putting out there is not oriented around those KPIs, you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
100%.
And for most of the people listening to this podcast, hopefully you're nimble enough to be able to act this way. Kody Phillips, 5,000 website visits a month. He's not got a big budget. So he had to nail something like this to be able to go viral and get his collection sold out.
And they did.
They did. Super hard. It's kind of cool. They use the styled, that's on their homepage.
Yeah.
So, you know, you go through like the different looks and what a way to like do a shop the look. You just got a dead person laying in the street trying to buy their cargo pants. It's crazy. Hats off to them. That's insane.
Yeah, they're crushing. All right. So we were talking a little bit about this beforehand, but we were both talking that it's wild that you can just use Drake's song on a reel. You can use whoever, Gunna, Future, it doesn't matter who.
I mean, back in the day, I was making like, you know, highlight mixtapes in like 2011, putting them on YouTube. I felt like I was going to jail.
Yeah,
you know,
because taking LimeWire.
Yeah, like I'm
pulling
using
something.
I'm using illegitimate streams, like illegitimate tunes to try and put a Drake audio to these mixtapes, and now because of the deal that Meta and TikTok have both struck with like all these different record companies, their music is available as trending audios on both carousels, on both, you know, reels, you name it. So what has that done? It's almost created an entire new genre of content, because it used to have to be you'd use like a bootleg version of the tune, or, you know, you couldn't fully one-to-one match up your content with the aesthetic you wanted. You had to find like a non-copyrighted version. Or
like when you get a copyright issue, you just have to say, yes, I have the rights to use this content.
Yeah, exactly.
Or else it would get taken down.
And then if you actually achieve some level of success though, then you're cooked, right? Yeah. Like you're immediately getting taken down, your account gets flagged. That's no longer the case. So there's two accounts that I want to talk about that are crushing this. And we have a lot of people who ask us for music-based marketing. Mm-hmm. And if short form video power applies to music-based marketing, I say yes. And then this guy's proof. And then number two is a brand. So both of them are pretty much dependent on trending audios as their growth lever. And I'll walk through how they're doing it. So this DJ got 20 million streams in only 9 videos by posting memes. Here's his content strategy. So it's all about horizontal vertical video. That's when you have a headline at the top third and then some sort of image or video in the middle third of a phone screen. So look at this one. It's when life is getting boring, so you got to pull out the Mario Kart plus house music combo. And what he does is he puts his song as the background. So look at the packaging of this video. It's a song that feels like what is matched up on the screen. So what makes that really special is it's almost like he's creating this themed piece of content, and before you even know it, you're like, oh yeah, this is funny. Yeah. And then you've just listened to his song and you're like, oh, I kind of like this. Like, and you look into it more and you realize that's the actual artist creating the content. Now, with that same song, with that same video, or with that same audio track, he's made 9 different memes that are the exact same in terms of making a meme, putting the text above the image or video, and then just letting it go viral. It's crazy.
All right, marketers, we know you love the TLDR, so let's get right to the point. Here are 5 things you can get done faster with Wix Studio. Number 1, you could scale content with dynamic pages and reusable assets. Then number 2, you can integrate with Meta's conversion API, Zapier, Google Ads, and more in just a few seconds. Then number 3, which is a given, and this is A/B tests, where you can create them in days, not weeks, with their intuitive design tools. Then number 4, you could connect to tracking and analytical tools like SEMrush and GA4 in seconds, and manage all of your client social media from one dashboard. All right, if you're ready for more, then go to wixstudio.com. Again, that's wixstudio.com. No, I love this. This is such a dialed playbook.
It's dialed.
Especially with somebody like him, where I don't think as much that he cares about everything that, like, he's in this growth mode right now.
Yeah.
So he's fine with just repeating certain like concepts and formats and putting his music over it. It's very similar to the latter guys, where like on TikTok, they have like a specific format that they just hammer because they know like when they get one to crack, they're going to grow. Everything's going to be dialed on the paid ad side. Like, it seems like this guy's running a very similar playbook.
But, you know, what makes it actually genius is, to our point earlier about playing into what Meta wants you to do. Yeah. Watch time and shares. Yeah. If you watch that when life is getting boring, so you got to pull out the Mario Kart plus house music combo, you're speaking to a very specific audience of maybe either nerd or nostalgia, you name it. But people who are going to relate to Mario Kart, people see the Rainbow Road, it's cognitive recognition. They kind of stop the scroll. They're like, oh, what's this guy talking about? And they're also going to send it to their friends who enjoy house music, who enjoy Mario Kart. And they're like, haha, this is so true. This is so us. This is something we would totally make. Oh, you would like this. And so you want to think about what are those emotions that actually cause people to share content, and then reverse engineer your content from there. The other one, his most viral video, is just so perfect. It's because he understands, again, when we talked about their shoots scaled because they were making fun of streetwear people. Like, they were making fun of hypebeasts. Yeah. Like, when they were making fun of their common behaviors or things that they say all the time, this video does the same thing. It says, house music fans when a female vocal plays over a repetitive beat for 8 minutes. And it's just like the Bobby Shmurda music video of all these guys going crazy. And 700,000 likes, 10 million views on that one alone. It's because who is a EDM fan that's not sending that to their friend?
To their other EDM
It's
fans,
hilarious. Like, you're obviously going to think that is really funny. He's used that exact same headline 4 different times for the same song. And he just rips that headline with another video of like people going crazy in a music video that they've seen. So it's the same thing as the Mario Kart thing. You're stopping that because you've seen Mario Kart Rainbow Road. You're familiar with it. You're stopping on the Bobby Shmurda or the, Love Sosa music video because you're like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. And what also makes them interesting is the blending effect between different cultures. He's aware that people who like house music also probably like Mario Kart. He's aware that people might love Sosa at the same time as loving house music. And by putting those together,
part of the funny aspect where there's a lot of black people that aren't going to dig house music.
For sure. Yeah.
And like, that's kind of the comedy in
it's
this.
Slightly ironic. Yeah.
It's like those old videos that was like, this video is going to stop racism. And it was like this guy like banging to let the bodies hit the floor or something like that. And he's like, doing all this shit to like let the bodies hit the floor. I think it's that same aspect being leveraged here, which is incredible.
Exactly. And so all this guy's doing is just using memes to his advantage. His most recent one was 8-year-old me thinking this is how the club would be. And it's like an anime character like going to it's a crazy animation. He also has house music fans the second they enter an H&M store, like you name it. Good. He knows his target audience, and all of the memes are very specifically for those people. And by going viral, he's gotten 20 million streams on his music, his original music, in the last 3 months.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, to do that, you have to pop off on SoundCloud or Spotify. What's the difference between him and all these other DJs trying to make it is he understands viral marketing. Spotify does not have recommendation algorithms that are very effective for new artist discovery. So you have to take your destiny into your own hands and create these short form videos that can get spread like wildfire and get more ears on your music.
Couldn't agree more. I love this dude's playbook. It's funny too. I would love to go back and see when he had the inflection point, or if he always had this strategy in mind that I'm just going to leverage like these things and then put it over it. Cause he, from the beginning, he was just dialed.
Yeah. I mean, well, you obviously don't know like what he was doing before. He's like a 21-year-old Australian kid. So he's really, really smart in terms of, he just understands social. He's very native to social.
Yeah. This is great.
Yeah. And he's done the same thing on TikTok. Like both, IG and TikTok, he's crushed. But been a lot more successful on IG, and I think it's because of the different rewards mechanisms that TikTok and IG have. IG is so explicit about shares and DM activity, whereas TikTok is much more about watch time and engagement. And that's because all of his memes are just immediately going to get shared to anyone that likes house music. So that was crazy. Hats off to that guy. I'm about to do a video about that because it just seems like DJs and music artists in general don't really have a full grasp. It's a very different skill set to be a marketer and an artist. And the best artists are often marketers. Like, they're often people who deeply understand marketing and how to get a lot of attention.
I mean, I don't know the story off like the dome, but Lil Nas X was a better marketer than he was artist.
That's how he started.
Then he became a great artist because of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, once you get plugged into the machine, they can make anyone a good artist, it seems like. But yeah.
I think what this kid's doing as well can be replicated for brands that want to create like their own theme pages and push back to the product. This is something you can do.
For sure. I mean, were you the one telling me, there was someone that was talking to me about how they were starting to build that basically for every single niche. So he was building a page that said, POV, you found the best fishing page on Instagram. And that was just every single headline would be this horizontal vertical video format would be old viral YouTube video of fishing. So he's pirating the existing virality of a content asset, which like you don't have to come up with anything new. Like, this stuff is already proven to get people's attention. POV found the best fishing page
Yeah.
on TikTok. It's a growth hack to get a bunch of followers because people are like, oh, I remember this video.
Yeah.
I want to see more curated fishing content. They're going to give it to me. And, you know, obviously uber shareable, watchable, you name it. So think about doing stuff like that if you're in any of these niches. Or you could turn your entire brand page into a theme page, which is what this brand did. So they're called Retro Muscle. I think you're going to dig these guys quite a bit. They're hilarious. Using trending audio is just the most underrated growth hack available to brands in 2025. It's not even close.
Nice hook, Brian.
Your
Your voice changes. Like, I didn't even have to be looking at you. It's just like your voice changes on
you know, it is what it is. So there's this brand Retro Muscle, and each piece of content they make has an 80s hit going on in the background.
This is sick.
Meanwhile, the actual video is almost always showing a simple contrast between modern fits and the way that they used to be.
Yeah.
So once they switch from the modern fit, which is in a regular high def camera angle, they go into this retro filter and they put on the baggy clothes, you know, the leotard vibes, like all the aerobics, and they're filming at Muscle Beach in Venice, which obviously had this bygone era, this peak era in the past. And it's a play to recall nostalgia that appeals to two things. Number one is seeing. Obviously, when you're doing a throwback or a vintage piece, say you're a vintage store and you're putting a flat lay of an old school jacket on there, okay, you know, that's going to be really cool to eyesight, you know, one of people's senses when they're consuming content. What they're able to do with the trending audio side of things, with the ability to use copyrighted music, is they're playing like old school Toto Hold the Line, you know, or they're playing any sort of 80s anthem is behind their video. And so it creates on multi fronts this nostalgic feeling. Not only are you seeing something that makes you feel nostalgic to the past, but you're also hearing a song that makes you recall that time. So it's super effective in creating a world that, you know, their target audience wants to live in, which is exactly what clothing brands have to do, right? You have to create a vision that you're going to share with your customers, because if you're leading a company, that's your number one goal as a CEO, is you're supposed to create a shared vision.
Yeah.
And right now, clothing brands have to create shared visions through content. Like, that's basically all their Instagram should ever reflect, is like this world that you've created and that your target customer wants to live in with you.
It's this idea like that we talk about pretty often, where you're recreating somebody's, like, the mood board that they want in their life.
Right.
Right. They put together this mood board on Pinterest and they're like, I want this. How can I aspire to do this? And then a brand creates content that matches that. And now the person's like, oh, so for me to have my own version of this mood board, I have to get their clothes so that I can have it. Yeah. And now you create this flywheel with their content, what this person aspires to have, and it's super effective. Like, looking at this, there's still a bunch of gym bros that dress like this because they love that nostalgic kind of feel to bodybuilding and to building, into bodybuilding, and then they're able to create this content that matches it. Of course, somebody that's into something like this would then want to buy their clothes.
100%. It's like they're appealing to people who are fans of Baywatch, Top Gun, old Arnold Schwarzenegger, 100%. Rocky. There's such a wide spread of people that beloved the 80s. And so initially you might think, this is kind of weird, like the Venn diagram of people who are into, you know, big baggy fitness clothes, and then people who, you know, really miss 80s culture. But ultimately, it's actually kind of huge.
No, I love this.
Anytime, if I showed my mom this, she would laugh. She'd be like, oh my gosh, I remember that's how guys used to dress in my age. And so you're actually packaging your content in a way that it can get enjoyed by the maximum amount of people when you go into these themes, rather than just talking about your brand and only being about your brand.
I love this.
Yeah, these guys, you know, really a brutal beat. And, you know, I'm just going to roast them a little bit, but you go to their website. Have you checked out the website?
No, not yet.
So go to the website. It's beautifully designed. Beautifully designed. The aesthetic is fantastic. But then I found out that they're actually French. So the whole site is in French, then it gets translated. You try and shop anything, these guys are fully sold out. They don't have a single piece of inventory on the website, and which is crazy because, you know, they're marketing the crap out of themselves, and they're doing great on IG and on TikTok to get a bunch of traffic, but they're very drop based. I gave them my email. They did not send a welcome email.
So there's those specific things that they haven't nailed yet. Like
they're
they're
like
too
almost
good at content.
Too good at branding, and they're just having too much fun creating these skits to actually monetize anything. But the minute they drop some stuff, I'm gonna cop it because these guys were fire.
I love this.
Yeah, it was
Absolutely,
cool.
dog. Great example of world building.
It's the only way to stand out in today's day and age. Everything is so saturated, no matter what category. So you got to pick a lane and go for it. Imagine if you were trying to articulate the fit of your clothes, and you're trying to say we have an 80s baggy feel.
Yeah.
Is that even going to approach the feeling that people have from this content, where they're seeing and don't have to read it and visualize it and think about it on their own? They're just seeing this vibe that these guys have created, and they're like, oh yeah, the baggy clothes. Like, it's such a distinction of what you're able to do with people's perception of your brand through content rather than through just writing and running ads to your website.
Love this.
Yeah. Couldn't be possible unless you were able to use copyrighted music.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it all starts with copyrighted music.
Yeah, trending audio. Make sure to loop in.
I think this was a pretty dialed episode, like 30-something minutes, 40 minutes, but it's a banger.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, wanted to get back into the specific branding case study stuff. Hopefully y'all enjoy. But let us know in the comments what else you want to see. We're trying to make this, as informative for y'all as possible. So if there's anything you're kind of struggling with, looking to grow in 2025, hit us up. We'll make sure to incorporate that in the next couple episodes.
Oh, yeah. Awesome, guys. Appreciate it.